Hi again, and welcome back to It's Not Rocket Science. 5 questions over coffee. I've just admitted to Mark, actually, my coffee is going cold. I haven't got a fresh one in front of me, but that's another story that we'll refresh later on. Mark, I know you've got a nice fresh cup of coffee in front of you. So welcome to the podcast. Let's enjoy 15, 20 minutes talking about team dynamics, team cohesion over a cup of coffee. Mark from TeamLytica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And my coffee is warm and gorgeous.
As it should be, as it should be. So, Mark, sort of talk us through the problem that you are looking to help businesses with, and the sort of the problems that you've seen that they get wrong,
Yeah.
which you're trying to help them to correct.
Sure. Well, I came out of corporate life and set up a leadership and team development company 20 odd years ago. Seems like yesterday. And over the years, I struggled to differentiate myself from the competitors in a crowded marketplace, all doing very similar things. And I decided to do something about it. And I created a web-based app that analyzes a team and how it works and functions together. My marketplace are business coaches, trainers, and HR professionals that I understand, because that was me for 20 odd years. And I think the biggest challenge they have is for new business development, getting in that funnel, getting in consistent business. And the challenge is to be different. And there's an awful lot of business coaches out there all doing very similar things. So my platform helps them differentiate that and helps them stand out from the crowd, and creates a new way of talking to their customers and adding value to those teams and those leaders that they deal with.
Mark, that's an interesting problem anyway. What sort of things have you seen business leaders doing which gets them into the problem of not having a cohesive team before you help to try and solve that problem?
So the business coach or trainer, they tend to have come out of corporate life. They've gone on a course, they bought into an accreditation process, and they'll have been qualified in something, the majority of them. There's those like me that wanted to become a coach, but I can't, because I end up just telling rather than listening, because I think I know all the answers and probably don't. So without that consistent approach and how they're going to help their customers, they rely on referrals. And so therefore they get challenged how they continue a long-term business with a customer. Whereas what my platform does, TeamLytica, enables a team to measure, a coach or trainer to measure a team here, then weave their professional magic, whatever that magic is, and then come back and, really importantly, retest 3, 6, 12 months later. And that gives them this brilliant thing of return on investment, which is like the holy grail for coaches and trainers. It's very hard to quantify and to measure how much a team has improved. I believe I've achieved that, and I can do that with my platform.
Brilliant. So tell us, how do you offer value to your TeamLytica customers, both the coaches and, I guess, the end customer of that coach or your client?
Question. So I do it in a number of ways. My first is, I'm really passionate about this. This is a 20-year journey for me, and I want to help every team realize its potential, every manager give them an easier life and be more productive. So first thing I'm doing is building a community. These are good people, they're nice people, they're good, the people you want to do business with, coaches and trainers. They're very passionate about what they do. So that community is important to me. And then giving them the resources to help them stand out in that crowded marketplace. And they will probably use one of a plethora of psychometric profiling tools that range from free to hundreds of pounds. And they all do a very similar thing, which is allow the individual to assess themselves, and they create this report that goes, hey, yeah, that's me. Wow, this psychometric profile is so accurate. Well, of course it is, because you've done it on yourself. They then show it to their boss, show it to their partner at home, and put it in a drawer, and it gathers dust. Vast majority, tens, hundreds of millions of pounds wasted. Whereas what I've built is something that will analyze a team, measures cohesion, stress, morale, and 54 other color-coded metrics. I spent a lot of money making it very accessible, and it allows the coach to go in and work with that team and that manager, do some immediate quick wins, which makes them stand out and gain trust with that team. And then over a period of time, implement longer term, either structural or behavioral changes to that team to get them from either stressed or apathy into what I call optimal performance, the top of that performance curve. And building that relationship, investing in that team, it might be small things, might be coaching, might be training, might be skills, and then coming back, as I say, and retesting. And it enables that coach or trainer to have a longer term relationship with their customers and hopefully see them good and improve their productivity and measure it along the way. So that's what I do.
So, Mark, have you got any metrics you could point to, some success stories you could just briefly tell that sort of give an indication of that sort of longer term success of the cohesion of the team changing because of the interventions?
That's a great question. So I originally launched this as a self-serve platform directly into teams, and but my passion is with business coaches and trainers, and a consulting firm picked this up last summer, and they compared my report with another report. They were judging to see which one might be more appropriate as part of their 3 initial tools they use with very senior leadership teams that they consult with. And the gentleman phoned me up, Matt phoned me up, and he said, we've tested your platform and we tested this other one on our same Zoom call. He said, yours we introduced, and I sent the team off with the questionnaire and a packet of biscuits on a virtual call. He said, within 20 minutes, we were making positive changes to how our team operated, which I now quote, as you can see. I'm very proud of that. And he said, and then with the other team, the guy took 2.5 hours to explain how the software worked and how to utilize the results. And of course, we never picked it up because I think managers are time poor and they want quick wins. So we go straight in there, urgent actions, get it done, start moving the dial forward. He then implemented that with 2 of his clients at very senior leadership levels with airline manufacturers, which are household names. And sadly, I can't tell you, but they are very big companies. And so, yes, I'm really proud of the, I got quite emotional actually, because he asked me to actually analyze the team with having never met them. And we sort of nailed this team and their main challenges and the opportunities for them to go in and help that team progress. So it was good.
Love the story. Mark, there must be a great way that we can sort of get some free stuff from you to help us. I'm going to just put the website now scrolling across the bottom of the screen here, which is TeamLytica,
Yep.
which is, it's not Analytica, it's TeamLytica. So don't get confused. TeamLytica.com. Tell us, what can we get when we get onto that website? What great offers and stuff can we learn about TeamLytica from that website?
Oh, I do like you, Stuart. Great approach. So there's a number of things. First thing, it's packed full of case studies. And so we try and give away lots of information about how that can be used in different industries and how that coach or trainer can use it. We're starting to build up a whole series of blog articles around the 54 different metrics, which is a problem. Each of those metrics is a problem in a team somewhere. And we're going to be building up that bank. If you want to access the report and you don't have any budget or you just want to try it out, we do a free version, which will give you just cohesion, stress and morale and the 9 category scores. And that's free. You can just come in and access that and have a look through. And then you can just pick up the phone and talk to me because I'm quite generous and I tend to give away too much. And I'm really happy to help a team and get stuck in and help them with their problems.
Mark, I love it because as as I said, the one thing that we believe in here on this particular podcast is if we give massive pre-sales value, it'll come back. So I love the approach. Yeah, good free stuff. Love the offer of picking up the phone and just talking to people, because that, if anything, for somebody who's cash strapped and then wants to move a bit forward, that might just give them enough momentum that they come back later and go, now I really need to engage. So, Mark, thank you so much for that. Listen. We're getting to the real meat of this now, which is there must be a book or a course or a program or something which has sort of inspired you, which you want to sort of pass on to the audience listening. What is that book or course that you think would really add some value to the way that they would bring about some sort of cohesion in their team?
My first inspiration and my first guide for people. I spent my entire life in scouting, and it's been an amazing family resource, motivator, whatever it might be. And I was taught leadership and team working from 7 or 8 years old. And in fact, next week in half-term week, I'm up to Scotland with 22 young people. We're teaching ice climbing skills and snow holing and doing stuff, teaching leadership to young adults. So that's really important to me. And I'd love to stress that. A couple of things. I'm following a guy in America called Jocko Willink. He's an ex-US Navy SEAL. He's a bear of a man. But you know what? If you take away the hoorah American stuff, underneath is a core of really good, solid, valuable leadership and team working knowledge, insights, and skills. And I really like what he does. There's a badge he had, which was nobody's coming, it's down to you. And I have this little badge and I stick it up on the wall because it's down to us, isn't it? We've got to work hard and get out there and knock on doors and make it happen. And the other person I really admire her approach is a lady called Helen Pritchard, now Helen Tudor. She's a LinkedIn specialist, and she has this very down to earth, very simple, replicable, scalable way of using LinkedIn to develop your business. And if you're a coach or trainer out there wondering how to get further contacts, then I would check out her details. And it's very accessible, and she's good at what she does. No rubbish either, just straightforward advice.
Mark, thanks. Yeah, no, I must admit there's an awful lot of, and we could talk for many hours, I suspect, about people who are now beginning to form opinions of the way they should form teams through some of this toxic masculinity. And you know, there are people that are in the news, we won't talk too much about them, that are out in the sort of the eastern part of Europe that have recently been arrested because they sort of spout a particular type of toxic masculinity. And the one thing I've learned over my years is that most of those people that have that sort of, they may be gruff on the outside, but the core heart of gold are the people that you look at and go, they'll make a great team no matter what's going on around them, because they are focused on not only what they've got to do to move something forward, but how they bring everybody else with them, not force them, not drag them, not push them ahead, but turn around and go, you're coming with me. And I'm a great fan of the fact that, you know, most of the people that I've been working with in the past are those that will turn around and say, my foot will be the first out of the helicopter when we attack the hill, and the last foot off the hill when we finish taking it. And that is what truly inspires me, that, you know, you as a leader, you have to be committed as much as you expect anybody else to be committed, don't you?
100%. And we're all people, and there's a really bit of old theory called Hertzberg's motivation theories, why we go to work. And we go to work because we're tribal. We want to be with other people. We want to interact with other people and enjoy what we do. And if we go to work and we all like a bit of pressure, pressure's okay, stress is okay, but not too much. And if you've got the wrong manager or the wrong people in that role, then you come to work and it's not enjoyable. So you're not likely to put your all into it. And when that team is cohesive and working well, and it's fired up and it's aligned and it's got shared goals and it's got energy and passion, and then it's going to drive forward and deliver whatever the role is, whatever the job is, they will do that and they'll deliver at a high standard. So, and that's what I'm trying to aim for, really.
I've had a great comment in from Layla. I do know Layla pretty well. And, you know, she's sort of talked about the fact it's a great tool. So, Layla, I hope you check it out, because it is really quite an interesting tool. I've seen it. It is simple to use. So thank you. Look, Mark, I've been sort of asking you questions for the last 10, 15 minutes, and you must be fed up of me asking you all the questions that you didn't want to be asked. So what's the question you would like me to ask you? And then once, obviously, you've asked the question, you need to answer it. Otherwise, I should just be forced to make you answer it. So what is the question you would have liked me to have asked you?
The holy grail that people buy, have you ever been in a high-performing team?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because we all strive for it, but very few of us ever get there. And it's a joy when you're in a high-performing team. It is pleasurable. It's exciting. You solve problems you didn't know you could. There's a high, and you're waiting for that bubble to burst, but it's powering you forward. And it's an amazing feeling. And I've only been privileged to be in two high-performing teams in my life, one in my work life and one in my scouting life, and I was climbing a big mountain. So how about you, Stuart? Have you ever been in a high-performing team?
I have been at Layla. Yes, you really should connect with Mark. He's an interesting character, and Layla, you're an interesting character to say the very least as well. So Mark, I will find a way of connecting the two of you together. Yes, I've been in a high-performing team, one that I joined and was an inspirational leader who, you know, was very single-minded, but at the same time, you know, was prepared to get there by committing themselves more than anybody else, and one that I was fortunate enough to actually end up leading. And that was largely because I was able to pick the people that I needed around me, who the trust between us was so, was it already somewhat established, but through the circumstances it built. And that some of those people, you know, this is now some 20 years later, we're still in contact because we still value each other's advice. And that's the sort of the thing that comes out of these high performing teams, isn't it? It's not just, do you solve that problem, but do you want to solve other problems into the future? and continue to support each other long after the project or the company or whatever has moved on.
Oh, it's so true. And in fact, that high performing I mentioned in my corporate life was 20 years ago. And I'm still in touch with the guy that was my boss. And we're still trying to do work together because I enjoy his company and I know what we can do when we work well together and achieve. It's an amazing feeling.
Mark, this has been an inspirational, and thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I do really do. I'd like people to go and check out teamlytica.com. That's TEAM Lytica, LYTICA.com. It's well worth having a look at even the free stuff that Mark's got up there. It's quite an interesting tool. As I said, I've seen it in depth, and sort of the report that it produces is really well worth having a look at. So please check out what Mark is doing with TeamLytica. Mark, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I'm just going to tell everyone, if you would like to get onto our mailing list and get an email each week telling you who will be on this week's podcast, to be able to join, as Layla did, to either put questions or comments during the recording, please join the mailing list, which is tca.fyi. That's tca.fyi/subscribe. I will put that into the show notes. I'll also put into the show notes the the web address of TeamLytica in case you weren't able to capture it, so that you can connect with Mark and further discussions. Mark, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us. Really appreciate you spending the time. It's been a fascinating discussion. I just love the energy that you bring to and the passion you bring to your business. And I know that TeamLytica will be a tool that most people will need to get into. Great.
Listen, Stuart, thank you for your time. I loved your question set. It's different, and it sparks conversation and thought and debate, which is what it's all about. So I appreciate your time.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. Thought and debate is absolutely it. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. Speak to you again in a very short time.
Bye-bye.